everyone. Hello. Hi. We are live on YouTube and Instagram for Cello Tip Thursday live stream. And I can't believe it's almost the end of February already. Isn't that wild? So yes, I am very excited to be here with Chelly and here with all of you dolls to talk about cello, music industry things. And if you noticed, rocking the red lip. It was supposed to be like a rose gold eyeshadow, but like a pink, but it looks a little more bronzy. That's okay. And we got pink lighting because it's February. And I know it's a little late, but Chelly and I wanted to open today's live stream by serenading you all with a Valentine. Chelly, I'm with Chelly all year round, so he's kind of sick of me sometimes. So he wants to be all of your Valentines this year. So he has a little surprise for you all. And yes, we're gonna start off the live stream with a little serenade, okay? Here we go. Adjusting the Instagram. Gotta get those angles, you know? Know what I'm saying? All right. Nothing like a surprise Valentine from Chelly, even though it's the 20th. Thank you all. Yes. Yes. So just something a little fun. Thought it would be a fun little blast from the past. I actually have that mini cover on my YouTube channel, and I'm like all in a red dress and everything. So yeah, that was really fun to play again for all of you. And welcome for those of you who might be new. I am the cello doll. This is Chelly, and either the last, or in this case, second to last, schedule pending, Thursday of the month, we come on, we talk cello, music. It's basically a chance for you dolls to ask me questions, get advice. I really try to help however I can. And again, I know a lot of these videos are cello-centric, but I think it's very important in the music industry to just have people to talk to regardless of what you play or do, because it's a tough competitive field. So everyone's welcome here, and we're gonna just jump in. For people in the chat, the YouTube live stream is hopping. So if for some reason you're not seeing it on there, maybe refresh your browser or try again. Up to you, but we are going to jump in. Okay. Cool. So we have our first question. How expert does one need to be to play Sonata in B flat major? Opus 38, number 3, 1 Allegro, because my teacher recently gave me this piece and I've been playing for 2 years. Could you tell me the composer of this sonata in B flat? I think I know what you mean, but I just want to triple check on the composer for this sonata. So if you could let me know in the chat because it depends. It might be a cello sonata. Some people adapt other instrument sonatas for cello. Romberg, I gotta be honest, not as familiar with this piece, but I'm gonna take a look at it just for you. But one thing, I think you bring up a really great point in, here we go. When you get assigned a piece and you think, oh man, am I ready for this? Rather than thinking, am I good enough? I think it would be better to think of it as, sorry, hold on. Cello guy. Cello guy, I'm one of your biggest fans. Cello guy, if you guys don't know Cello guy, where have you been? Number 1. Number 2, phenomenal human being and cellist. Also can sing, is an impeccable singer too. Incredible. Arranger. Could do a whole live stream about Cello guy, but I won't because that's kind of creepy. But we're good. We're good friends. So thank you for popping on and saying hi. So it's an honor to call you a friend. Thank you. So I am pulling up this Romberg for you. I got distracted by Cello guy, as one does. Okay, Romberg. Okay, so kind of going back to if you are given a piece and you feel nervous about it, I would say think more about how long have I been playing. Instead of thinking of it that way, think of it like, what techniques does this piece use? What challenges does this piece have for me? There's so many other ways I would recommend approaching this rather than thinking about the quantity of how long you've been playing. The quality of what you can play there's a big range in that. You can get so much done in just a year on cello. Some people grow at different rates. I know I had a huge, for me, my ability really had a huge uptick in my early 20s. So thinking about it in terms of years, I would rather think about the challenges and the techniques in a piece. And I will say it's very possible your teacher is giving you something slightly harder than you're used to kind of bump you up. I like to think of it like evolving, like Pokemon. They give you something a little bit harder because it makes you adapt and evolve and reach that next level. So let's give this piece a little glance here. And you are on, the first movement. Actually, can I just go down to the cello? Here we go. So, looking, okay, yep. So what I'm noticing about this, some challenges in this piece, and please let me know if you have a specific question about the sonata. This piece has rhythmic changes. We have a lot of different rhythms. We have eighth notes, eighth note triplets, 16th notes. So there's a lot of rhythmic nuance to this and changing rhythms kind of on a dime. And we also have long lyrical lines. I would definitely call this piece kind of an intermediate, kind of early intermediate, if you were to think beginner, intermediate, advanced. And again, I'm just looking at the first movement very quickly. But also, another thing to think about is your range. How comfortable are you on the cello? Do you know your positions? How comfortable are you with shifting? So, I mean, if you've been playing for a couple years and you are comfortable shifting, it goes up to a G, which is a fourth position on the A string. Okay, lots of jumping movements. Does that mean shifting? Lots of shifting? Let me know, because I would be very happy to give you some of my favorite shifting exercises. Okay, so I'm gonna guess that you might have been assigned, and again, I don't know your teacher, so I'm just totally guessing that maybe you were given this piece to test the different positions you have learned and to shift to and from them maybe more frequently. So one thing I always tell my students, don't be afraid to mark your music. If you need to put a bracket that says second position here, oh dear, sorry. Guess what, guys? We have a little visitor. Miss Kiki wants to come in the music room. I hear her. I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she scratches the. She kind of makes this little noise when she wants to come in and visit. But she thinks I'm sitting at my computer desk covered in a blanket and my lap is open, but this is not. Let's let her in. She's not always the biggest fan of being picked up, so we'll see. If she seems amicable, I'll have her say hello, but if not, she's just gonna hang out. Kiki. Oh my! Do you want to come in? Okay, honey. All right. You in? Yeah, and also, you know what? I'm not going to pick her up just because I have a lot of lights facing me, and I don't want to, like, do that to her eyes. But I hope you heard her. That was a very big hello. And see, she's immediately sniffing the door. I'm sorry I'm not at my desk. I know, I'm sorry. Hey, I know. Later. We'll cuddle later, okay? Yeah, she's like, I don't care, get me out. All right. Thank you for saying hi. You can go out. She's just sitting there. What do you want? I promise I'm going to get to your Sonata question. I haven't forgotten you. What are you doing? Okay, if you want to hang out, that's fine. We're just going to leave the door open a crack. Okay. That's literally, this is us all day, every day. Talking and talking. Okay, I think she went out. Okay. See, she always, when I'm not looking, that's when she leaves. All right. Okay. All right. So you guys got to meet Kiki. Well, you got to hear Kiki. All right, let's go on to, but yeah, she's literally that vocal all the time. We have full-on conversations. It's great. I'm obsessed with her. Okay. So shifting exercises. Oh yes, we were talking about marking your part. Don't be afraid to put some brackets. You could even take some colored pencils so they're erasable if you make a mistake. You could even color code for certain positions. All second position, I'm gonna do green. I will do fourth position in purple, something like that. There's nothing wrong with marking your part. Nothing wrong with that. And if you are worried about marking it too much, you could always make a photocopy. And then as you get more comfortable with the piece, go back to the original print. But let's look at some spots. Okay, let's see. One big thing a lot of my students hear when I teach them is to lead your shifts from the thumb. To lead your shifts from the thumb. So what I mean by that is a lot of people think, oh, I got to get this second finger in tune. And they put so much emphasis on two. Sometimes the thumb gets left behind or the thumb is squeezing and you get this kind of sticky shift. So to really slide up with the whole hand, because your thumb is usually, sometimes it's with first finger, yes, but it's often with the second finger and kind of the middle of your hand. And it's, if you really lead from the thumb, then that is really, really going to help you in terms of shifting easier, more smoothly, and to also just really have a smoother path when you shift. So let's see. Okay, I'm going, my score doesn't have bar numbers, but this is right before the first repeat. I'm going to pick a spot, give you an example of how to practice shifts. So, after all these 16ths, we have, I don't know what fingering you're using. So, know where you're going to go, know what positions are happening, and fourth, so we had, well, I kind of did a little sneaky third position. So let me see, we're allegro. Okay, so I was a little slow, but I always recommend practicing any exercise under tempo. So you can really focus on the mechanics and not just kind of rush through it, but... So I'm using the open string to go to third position, and that's such a really nice trick if you can use an open string to shift. I tell my students, just practice bringing your thumb down. Even if it's too far, that's fine. To really get used to open string thumb moves. So we can jump, not jump, but so we can land in third position. So, and that's another one. So for that one, we're going from D to G. And I'm shifting on one. I'm doing it in slow motion with a big slide on it. And again, I wouldn't shift with 4. I would land on 4, shift with 1, land on 4, because that's a lot of, the pinky is our smallest and thinnest finger. It has the least amount of pad. So it doesn't, for a lot of people, it doesn't feel the most secure to shift on. So I would... practice that with a slide, like an audible slide, because you're hearing the distance you're traveling, but also you are shifting with ease and flow. You're not... I see a lot of these jerking shifts around 4th position, and that is really going to mess up with your accuracy. So really ease your way into the note. Then, now you don't hear it anymore. And that is, I lighten up with the bow a little bit. I don't come off the string. So in slow motion, fuzz, fuzz, fuzz. Same thing going back. So I shift, I travel, and then I land. Since that one is a 3rd finger C sharp, I guess you could shift on 3 if you would like. I notice this more and more. I tend to shift on my older finger, the previous finger, because if I'm a little off, I can still adjust by how I land. You know, if I go a little too far back, I can compensate. But if you shift with 3 and you're off, you're kind of stuck with where you land. I hope that makes sense. I have so many shifting tips, but those are some of my favorites. And I don't want to, I feel bad. I feel like sometimes I talk too much and too long in these streams, so I want to get better about that. Oh, we have kitty stories. My teacher has a cat at home, and when I come to her for lessons, that cat makes me fear for my cello. He once climbed on my case and tried to crawl inside. Oh, cats love those kinds of things. I think I had a photo I posted where our other cat, Sebastian, we call him Bash. He's a black cat, and he loves to crawl inside cases and things. So yeah, some of them just love those enclosed spaces, which is really, really sweet. Let me see. Okay, great. Oh, hey! I see hellos in the chat, and I don't want to have those go amiss. I'm just checking Instagram. No questions yet on Instagram. That's okay. Yes, I saw we have a 4th finger question. Do you have any tips for 4th finger vibrato and reading tenor clef? Yes, and I also have videos on this on my channel, especially the tenor clef one. I will quickly summarize, but if you want a deep dive, I would recommend that video a lot. I talk all about, if you've never read tenor clef in your life or you're just getting started, it's a good video. But let's fourth finger vibrato. I also have a free 4-week vibrato boot camp. And again, these things are free. I don't make money off of them yet. I hope to be monetized one day. But I'm not trying to do a sales pitch. Like, these are resources I make for people to get into the channel and the content and stuff. Cool. So, okay, great. We have another shifting question. Perfect. So I'm going to discuss the vibrato, but there's a vibrato boot camp. It's a month-long program for you to train your vibrato. So I recommend that. Oh, wow, lots of questions. Yay. Better get going. Stop talking. Teach. Teach instead. Fourth finger vibrato. Yes. Always pair it with 3. Always. Always, always. The pinky, again, is a very small, skinny finger. So vibrating by itself, not good. Always pair it with 3. Now, if you notice from my vibrato, my pinky flattens out a little bit. I do have a short pinky, so don't worry if that happens. It's okay to flatten it to get more pad, but you notice my third finger isn't collapsed. My third finger is curled. So if you find it almost looks like I have a circle, actually. That's interesting. Make sure the third finger is curled. The other thing is a lot of people lean into the pinky. They kind of lean their left hand weight forward, and that causes, again, a lot of weight in this really, really tiny finger. So I would distribute your weight like you're on 2 feet, maybe even a little bit more into the third finger. So make sure your left hand balance feels centered on 3 and the fourth finger is just riding along. So one exercise, you pick any note, vibrate 3. You add 4, but you focus on 3. Keep your attention on that third finger vibrating the whole time. The pinky is just plopping and joining along. That is that's probably the most common mistakes I see, is that the third finger is not getting enough weight or it's not being used. Also, make sure you're supported with your elbow. I'm leaning over because Instagram's vertical. If your elbow's too low, your wrist is kind of forced to kick in, and that's violin vibrato. Violinists use the wrist. Cellists don't really. We use more of our forearm, and the wrist is just moving as a result of this. And then you had another question about reading tenor clef. Tenor clef, like our strings are tuned in fifths. So C, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, D. So our strings are tuned in fifths. Tenor clef is in fifths. So when you have a tenor clef piece, I recommend keeping the fingerings, keep all the fingerings, but play it down 1 string. Because the clef is a 5th difference and our strings are a 5th, you can do that. So one of the most well-known pieces that is usually a first treble clef piece is the swan. So if you have the opening of the swan goes, so it has a 4th finger, but if you look at the music and you pretend it's in bass clef, ignore the tenor, it looks like a C. So where can I play my C with 4th finger? Up here. So it's exactly. By keeping the same printed fingering, you are practicing the same shifts, the same position findings, and that's really going to be helpful. I mentioned this in the video. Technically, we are transposing, so you might have to add a sharp or flat for it to be an exact match. I explained that in my video. But for example, in the swan, let me think for a sec. Yeah, so when your piece has sharps, you have to take a sharp away. So we went from, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you take a sharp away. So you're basically transposing by a fifth with the key signature as well. So if it's a sharp, take one sharp away. The fingerings will still all match. If it's a flat, you have to add a flat. So there's a couple steps. You got to be aware of your key signature and how to adjust it, and then play it down a string. So yes, those are my tips. Next, from YouTube, any tips for shifting where the finger has to leave the string? Example. I love examples. Thank you for that. A string B to open A, then D with finger 1. Okay. Yeah, so I'm assuming D in third position. So we have to shift with an open string in between. Well, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. That open A should be your cue to slide up the thumb. If you have an open string, always use it to prepare for something, whether it's a string crossing, a shift, doesn't matter. Always use the open string to prep your shifts. Always. So I practice sliding up the thumb. My next question is, we're in first position to start. Can I play the first note, the new note in first position? We can, it's fourth finger. So I would play that a couple times. Now replace it with 1. A bit between the two D's. Okay, so use the open string to start sliding with your thumb, your left thumb, and also see if there's an easier way to play that note. So we found out, oh, I can play this D by staying in first position. So we kind of drilled that a couple times for the muscle memory, and then we directly replaced the fourth finger with 1, the fourth finger with 1, the fourth finger with 1, and then we just went straight to 1. So this is kind of, a lot of the exercises I use and teach with kind of remind me of like building blocks. We go back and we kind of build. These exercises usually have multiple parts that build familiarity and accurate muscle memory going towards what's ultimately written. Whenever I shift up on the E string, I can't get it in tune. Is it the E? Do we have a violinist or double bass player? That'd be really cool. They have E strings. I'm not sure. A string? Maybe? Or D? I'm looking at my keyboard. What's near E? The D on my keyboard. Maybe you meant D string? I mean, shifting... Some strings, the intonation can feel more difficult than others. But again, finding those kinds of reference points. What I learned very quickly, and if you want to take one thing from this video, this is it. Repeating what is printed over and over and over again and hoping it's right is not how you practice. I'm sorry. I just have felt it's not effective. That kind of practicing is when you've learned the piece and you want it to become automatic for a stage performance. I practice like that about 2 weeks before a concert. I just play it through, so that by the time I get to the concert, I've played it like over 10 times. So that kind of practicing is for the show, when all the work has been done. That's my opinion. That's my philosophy on practicing. Take from it what resonates with you. But for practicing, you gotta pull it apart, slow it down, change your perspective, map out your fingerboard, figure out the distances. It's very analytical, and if something's hard and you repeat it, it's going to take you a lot longer to learn it than when you adapt it. See if there's an easier position. Can I tune with an open string? That example, I'm going to be out of tune on purpose. So I heard it was out of tune. I'm using a D string to tune what was supposed to be a D. So you ask yourself, okay, I was too high. I held it and adjusted. So now I know, okay, don't shift too high. I went a little lower and it helped. So open string references are also great for tuning. Do you have advice for steady, controlled vibrato in the awkward fifth position? Yes. Yes. So fifth position, sorry, my voice cracked. I'm too old for my voice to be cracking. And also I realized my water bottle matches the background color today, and it looks really planned. I don't plan like that. This is usually what I have in my music room, regardless of what color's on the wall. Hi, friends! I love it when people say hi in the chat. That's very nice. Thank you for typing that hello. My voice is cracking, so we need water. Okay. Oh, vibrato in fifth position. So for those of you who might not know, let's talk about fifth position. Fourth position, let's start from four. Fourth position is when your thumb is at the base of the neck and your first finger's above thumb. Who knows that? Just kidding. Well, not kidding. It's a cool piece, but I'm digressing. Okay. So fourth position, I have E. I'm just on the A string. E, F sharp. Well, E, F natural, F sharp, G. When your first finger replaces the F natural or F sharp, that is fifth position. So and we get that A harmonic on top. So tips for vibrating: elbow support, number one thing. Left elbow support. Again, if the elbow is drooping, one thing, how high should my elbow be? And have it be parallel with the floor. Sometimes I use the analogy, if you had a cup of water here, you don't want your cello to get wet, it would spill this way. You don't want the floor to get wet, it would spill that way. It should be parallel parallel to the floor, like a nice straight line. Because if you droop with the elbow, you're kind of cutting off this part of your arm. You're making a bend in the arm where all of the momentum from the vibrato happens. And yeah, that is going to cut off the ease of your vibrato. So, and the other thing too, fifth position and onward is kind of unique because in the lower positions, our fingers, they're not going to be floppy like this, but they're facing this direction, right? When I curl my fingers, when you go into thumb position and higher, your fingers are vertical. They're facing this way. So be careful. Maybe you're keeping your hand too horizontal. Try bringing the elbow back as if you're going to high five someone to the left of you, your left. So open up, not too much, but a little bit. And think of you're on the pad of your finger and you're rocking up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And again, your wrist and your arm is kind of going up, down, like a little arc. And it's different than vibrating over here. Over here, the vibrato in relation to how your fingers are facing is kind of different. So don't have your hand be too horizontal. We're now going into the point where we're going to need vertical fingers. So again, it's about the it's about those angles. I was talking about camera angles, but in cello playing, so many angles are so important. So again, making sure your elbow is supportive and that you have a little bit, almost like you're going to high five someone over there. A little bit of the palm is showing and your fingers are more vertical. Okay. I am a violinist. Very cool. Welcome. I can't get my G string on the violin in tune, so do you have any tips? I mean, my tip is for you to ask your teacher, or maybe if you're in school and you work with an orchestra director, just because I'm not a violinist. And the tuning is a little, process is a little different. I have tuned violins before, but if your peg is constantly slipping, because sometimes that happens with violinists, they get the note and then the peg slips. If it's an issue with your peg sticking, I would recommend, again, talking to your teacher or going to a luthier. Luthier is basically a string doctor or a string shop because they have some materials. It almost looks like chapstick. It's not chapstick. For the love of, don't. It looks like a little tube and you twist it and they can put some of it on the pegs for you and that will help. So yes, that is my recommendation, is talk with your teacher about it, because your teacher can definitely give you some good tips, and they can also look at your instrument to see if there's any, if it might be something out of your control. It might be the pegs. Oh, this is a great follow-up question about vibrato from Instagram. So when we do the vibrato, the thumb doesn't need to be pressing hard on the back. No. Your thumb should never be pressing hard on the back, number one. That's very important to talk about as well. So you can definitely see it, actually. This is a good angle on Instagram for the fifth position vibrato. So my thumb isn't off. I'm on the neck, but I'm doing this. I'm sliding up and down. Oh, you're most welcome. I'm sliding, kind of like when we were talking about shifting. You want to slide the thumb up. My thumb is oscillating with the rest of my arm and finger. So I'm still on the neck, but I'm rubbing it a little bit. Same thing. So my thumb isn't, I can't even keep it still. That's hard for me. So the way I see it, your thumb, your left thumb, is always lightly in touch with, lightly on the neck. It's almost like a feather touch. You should never have it hard or pressed on the neck. That took me a long time to learn. And a lot of it was just feel it squeezing, take it off. Do some of those slow sliding exercises. You could even just like I'm not caring about notes. I'm just really taking one finger at a time and having the thumb be light to the touch. Again, my thumb doesn't really come off ever, but it's loose contact so that it can shake along with the vibrato motion. Next question. Thank you for your patience. My class is playing a piece called Heart of Fire, and I would like some tips with some of the 8th and 16th note rhythms. So I gotta tell you, first off, that's a really cool name for a piece. If this piece is not in the public domain, I won't be able to look it up for you. I'm gonna look. But it sounds, that's kind of a more modern name. I'm guessing this is a newer piece of music. It's just a copyright rule. I won't be able to look. But if I can't find it, I'll still give you some tips in general for 8th notes and 16th notes. Heart of Fire. Let me see. Let me just see what comes up. Oh, and you know what? I can see a preview. No, it's only the cover. It looks like it's by a composer named Lauren Bernofsky. Is that it? If I can, no, this is just showing me the cover. Because sometimes I can't see the whole piece, but I can see like a page or two. Oh, I can see the first page on this one. Let me see. Let me see. I see. Okay. So I can look at some of this. Again, copyright, I can only see the first page. But I think this is it. I think this is it. You have kind of, what's the tempo? Hopefully that rings a bell. I don't know. This is what I have found by that name. You notice I was ticking with my tongue. Sometimes I know you can listen to a metronome and do this, but this is a unique exercise I really like to do because if you click with your tongue, it physically makes you wait. You're not just listening to some metronome clicking off in the distance and you hope you're with it. If you click with your tongue, it helps you feel the beat, especially because a lot of your entrances here are off the beat. It's like ba, 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 ba. I'll do it again. I'm gonna try to click really loud. I'll do that. Cello doll, metronome, hybrid. Let's see. Okay, so it's a little bit like rubbing your head and tummy at the same time. But notice for those first 16th notes, for those of you who don't see the sheet music, there's an 8th note rest. 1, E, A, 2, E, and A. Ba, 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 ba. And during that 8th note rest, don't literally do that, but my fingers ready, my bow's on the string. Rest on. Rest on. If you wait until the note is supposed to happen, you're going to be late every time. Every time. So when that 8th rest, at least, if you could do it earlier, have it on the string, 3rd finger ready. So all you have to do is pull to start the 16th notes. Done, on. Done, on. Like that. Let's go on. Okay, so we now have some combination of 8th note and 16th notes. 16th, 8th, 16th, 8th, and then 8th, 16th. So we have da-ka-da, da-ka-da, and da-da-ka-da, da-ka. Short, short, long, short, short, long, long, short, short, long, short, short. Make sure you know the right one that's coming along. Another thing to do, and I know this is going to sound like what every single teacher says all the time, say the rhythm to yourself, because if you can say it, you can play it. I know you've heard that. I know some of you have heard that. You might be rolling your eyes, but it's true. I'm sorry. It's true. It's true. Sorry. I'm in my microphone. On Instagram, you just have my phone, but I have 2 microphones here for YouTube. It's just true. I'm sorry. But if you can say it, I'm going to tell you dolls a quick story. This is kind of a heart-to-heart story. You ready? We're going to get human for a little bit. And my friend on YouTube, oh no, Chelly is blocking the beautiful pink. We'll just hold Chelly for story time. When I entered college, I realized really quickly that rhythms were going to be a challenge. I understood rhythms. I knew what all the rhythms were. I knew how they would fit in the bar, but it was really hard for me to play them evenly. So if I had 1 eanda, it might be 1 eanda, 1 eanda, like they weren't even. And I heard about it in my lessons. And you know, it's really hard when you are in a music school and you work very hard to get there and you're having trouble with something that should be taken care of by then. And it, you know, it made me very insecure for a while. And I told myself, you know what? I'm in school. I'm meant to learn things. I am going to go into the most extreme rhythmic class I can think of, or ensemble or whatever. I'm going to make rhythms my whole life. Modern music. That really avant-garde stuff you hear sometimes where there's a 12 tuplet and it's like 6/8, 7/8, 5/8, 2/8. Like I've played it all. And yeah, that was probably an extreme decision, but it really helped me to harness rhythms and pulse. My pulse got so much better, and guess what? Now I love playing that kind of music, and sometimes I have people come to me to specifically play that kind of music because I really understand it. For some reason, it really resonates with me. And I think it's because I used it as a tool to improve myself. I have this connection and appreciation for it. That being said, I had never sung rhythm so much in my life as when I was playing that modern music in college. I sang rhythms with a metronome, and it helped me so much because, again, I was clicking during the rests, but if you speak rhythms, you are doing it with your body. When you can think it in your brain, okay, and listen to a metronome, but when you speak it, you're gonna speak it with your bow. That's a physical action. Speak it with your mouth and your words too. You don't, even if you just go deka 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 dum, bada 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 ba, bada 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 bum bada bum. Like, it's okay if you don't do the one E and you can just do bada bum bada bum. Like I would do that sometimes. It's just sing rhythms, really live with them, and really in a way exaggerate the difference too, especially when you have a 16ths and 8th notes together. 1 and 2 and ba-da-da, ba-da-ba, 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 not boo-da-da, boo-da-da, because now we're getting into triplet land, and it's not triplets. I hope this helps. And this is for everybody, my kind of opening up about rhythmic challenges and growing, really embracing it. It has been so crucial. So if you can really get comfortable with singing rhythms, and again, just do it for yourself in a practice room. It's okay if people hear you. Everyone is practicing. Everyone's practicing. You know, it's okay if you're singing a rhythm to yourself and someone hears it. It's fine. Don't be embarrassed. You're making yourself a better musician. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I know a lot of my colleagues would have caveats about singing, myself included, in a practice room. But I just realized, like, if it's meant to help me, why am I not doing it, you know? All right. Lecture is over. But this looks like a really cool piece. Have fun. Very fun. I have one more tip for you for these. You have another spot. Something like that. Oh, and you're doing, there's 2 downs. You notice how I'm in the string? I'm not going, you don't have time to, and then roll up. Stay in the string, roll up. That's a huge thing when you have 8th notes. Just leave your bow in the string. Don't take it off. Like, you don't have time for that. You don't have to go. You can have some gentle bowing at the end so it rings. Roll up. And that allows me to play it fast in tempo. It's probably not going to be that fast, but just to show you, you hear how messy that is when I try to lift every time? It's not as crisp and clear. So, again, you don't have to crunch it just because your bow's on the string. It can have a nice little ring to it. I'm just having some air at the end of the bow. Not literal air, but I'm just being gentle towards the end of the 8th note. Bam! Fun! Good luck with this. This seems like, this is a cool piece. Very cool piece. And I know I'm making an assumption, but by the name Lauren, it sounds like a female identifying composer, which I think is awesome. I love that curriculums are having more female identifying composers. So that makes me happy too. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining for this live stream. And I gotta tell you guys something. When I first logged on, some people were saying, oh my God, yay. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Oh my goodness. And that like made me want to cry. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, the fact that people are excited for these live streams and to come talk about music and cello and to just hang out with one another. I like when people are having conversations in the chat, and you know, I'm very happy to have a space like this where we can talk about practice room woes, and it's a safe, constructive space where I really try to help you all out how I can. And for people to be excited about it when I come on, it makes me emotional. Yeah, oh my gosh, it makes me a little emotional. Oh my God, you guys are awesome. I love you all so much too, really. And so does Chelly, because he was your Valentine. He serenaded you all with a Valentine. He was very excited for that. But yeah, that really means a lot. And if you guys weren't here, there wouldn't be an Instagram, there wouldn't be a channel, you know? I love making stuff to share. So to share it with all of you and to have you excited when a video or a live stream comes out, that's like a dream come true. Not to sound cheesy and cliche, but it really is. Thank you all so much. I did see a request. Can you do one session for scoring cello and kind of maybe an arranging session? That would be very interesting. I love talking about arranging and practices for, you know, helping composers and arrangers to get the sound they want. Yeah, I will definitely think about that. Or, oh, if you're a composer, I will say, oh, you're almost welcome. To this wonderful composer on YouTube, go to my channel, type in composer, search my channel. I have 2 videos on how to auxiliary techniques for string instruments and how to notate them. It's a little more, I don't talk about general practices. It's very technique focused, like Bartok pits, Ponticello, like different avant-garde sounds and how to notate them. Yes, so there's 2 of them. And again, maybe I can make a video about where to start, kind of more fundamentals. But if you're interested in some unique cello sounds and how to put those in your music, there's 2 videos on there, and I hope they're helpful. Thank you all so much. I look forward to these every single month and sharing this time with you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Love you all so much. And we'll see you in March for the next live stream. Yes. Yes. Okay. Have a good day, evening, wherever you all are. And we'll see you soon. Bye.